you wrote an article, I think, or your organization, I think NOBL published an article, I'm sure that you contributed, The Self-Driving Org, the 6 levels of AI transformation. Talk me through that first, and then how do organizations go and actually work with that?
Yeah, this came and I like we're still beating it up of that model itself. But essentially like what I was seeing in the organizations we work with is boards asking the C-suite, like, what are we doing about AI? Like that generic of a question. CEOs then saying, like, turning to the CTO in the room and saying, what are you doing about AI? And then I'm watching their average employee not have time for a bathroom break in their day. Like there's this huge disconnect between what's being asked for and like the capacity of teams on the ground. And our biggest fear was like, this is another digital revolution done poorly again. Like living through like the digital transformation that happened in a lot of organizations, right? Like we looked at a horizontal force, meaning like it's a disruption that's going to disrupt every single part of the organization. And what did we decide? We're like, one person should have that role. Let's create a chief digital officer and give them like almost no authority to make change inside the organization, but they're going to be the person that the board can point at, right? Um, and so we were trying to offer this model of like, how do you go from the world we live in today where like whether it's sanctioned or not, so many different people in the organization are experimenting with these tools. And then how do we start to move forward in the world? So we were trying to give a picture of like, okay, let's assume that what we're trying to do is ultimately find a balance between like machine and human judgment inside a company. And then deciding along the way what work is best done for humans or should stay human work because we want to keep that as a core capability or competency. Like we don't want it to atrophy. Like the de-skilling is real, or at least the early research looks like people will get dumber if you take specific work away from them. Like there was the research around like surgeons and x-ray techs where it's like if you fully give them a tool and then you take the tool away, they'll actually perform much worse. Um, and then there's the like, what can machines do for us? And that's going to change every single day. So we were trying to give them a picture of like, okay, step one is just work. Like after you're doing the experimentation, is just like, let's focus on workflows. Let's go find core workflows inside the organization that are sort of like the main rivers. And so don't just focus on these like off tributaries that are like special, can only exist within a single team. They're the easiest things to get done. Let's focus on like the go to market process that we know is already a pain and look not just for where can AI support us, but also like, come on, let's just redesign this thing as we would if we were to start again. And it doesn't have all the headaches in it that it did the first time. Like, I think that AI is this wonderful Trojan horse where we can actually fix our organizations to work for people again. Like we've been like, since we started NOBL, we've been talking about like work isn't working. Like 50, like literally half of employees don't know what their job is if you poll them in big organizations. They like don't know how to move the work forward. They don't know what they're being measured on. Like, let's just again, like, and we start with big workflows. And then from there, let's move to decision making, right? Like once we can, because oftentimes again, workflows, we don't actually know how decisions are getting made. Um, the story like recently, we were sitting down with a marketing team, a tech team, and a supply chain team trying to decide what should the algorithm inside a consumer app like prioritize in terms of featured products. Like, what is the algorithm to like say this is a product you should buy? And it was an argument about, okay, do we have enough product to sell? Is it going to create shortages? Is it the most like margin rich product to sell? The tech team is like, you know, how thinly can I slice the consumer segmentation so I'm like getting you the most personalized product possible? And the marketing team is like, well, where's our brand in all of this? And is it the like number one lighthouse for what we're trying, like the story we're trying to tell? And we got into a room and everyone was just arguing with each other around capabilities and like what the algorithm could do or not, what the tech platform could do. And we had to go back and say, like, how does this normally win inside the organization? Like, and really make the realization of like, we are a marketing led company. Like, I don't know if that is the right thing, but we have historically been a marketing led organization. Like the marketing team tends to win this. What does that look like here? But it was like a swirling conversation for multiple sessions until we were just like, let's try to name the water that we're swimming in and how we've made these decisions before. So it's just trying to create some steps that organizations can follow.
And I love what you just said, because that's the one that really resonates. Creating this role, the CDO role or CIO role or whatever we call him or her, that's basically responsible for all of technology, but has like zero authority to implement any changes in the organization. And you have a technology background, how would you see that digital transformation ownership role in the future, especially in the light of AI?
Yeah, it's going to be messy, it's going to be difficult, and it's going to look like every single executive having a portion of their portfolio and their goals assigned to AI, and probably every single group having like its own little mini. It's going to come back to some idea of a center of expertise with spokes out inside the organization, some version of this. And again, there's no perfect way to do it. They all have trade-offs. It'll be painful and messy. But again, like just giving one single person, what I'm noticing is basically like the authority drift that's happening in most companies right now is because this always lives as a technology investment. CTOs are actually like garnering so much power, and things just are implicitly moving to the CTO without big conversations, and they're going to be able to exert more power and influence over the organizations, which would they, listeners of your podcast might be like, finally, I have this power. But what I'm also noticing is they're burning their bridges with the rest of the executive team. Um, I've been in so many rooms lately where a CTO now is like the center of prioritization about capabilities, is the center of prioritization about like who gets the attention inside the company. And I have seen too many of those CTOs like lack empathy, and at least understand the political game they're playing, because right now they have a lot of power with the CEO because they can like fulfill these dreams of these perfect AI enabled organizations until they won't. Like in 6 months, none of these promises are going to live up because it's human beings that we're trying to change, not just tech. And I think they're burning a lot. I've seen a lot of CTOs just recently burn a lot of bridges with other people inside the org because they're like, a group will come to them and say like, we're dying, like AI is great, but we're dying through like manual systems right now. Like it's eating up so much of our month to like manual data entry or getting systems to talk to each other. We need resources here to like, not just band-aid this, but to really fix this. And the CTO is like, boy, you haven't even seen bad systems. Like, let me tell you, when I've worked at places and I'm like, that might be true, but you're burning that bridge with someone that you're going to need a coalition for in 6 months or 9 months.